Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Legal Helm, where we dive into the latest trends, challenges, and innovations in the legal tech space. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Matt Veale, a European patent attorney and UPC representative at Patsnap. Matt is a seasoned patent attorney with a PhD and a background in computer science, making him uniquely positioned to navigate the evolving intersection of technology and intellectual IP law. At Patsnap, he helps organizations unlock detailed insights and patent data to craft profitable IP and R&D strategies. In this episode, we'll be exploring AI's growing role in IP law, how it's changing the way IP professionals work, the challenges it presents, and the opportunities it creates. We'll also discuss Patsnap's innovative AI solutions. So let's get into it. Matt, welcome to the Legal Helm.
Thank you. Very nice to be here.
So maybe we could just start with a little background. You have an interesting background, as I just mentioned, with the computer science and the legal part of it. Maybe you could just walk us through a bit of how the journey led you to Patsnap.
Yeah, absolutely. So the funny answer is that I need to make some money after spending a lot of time at university. But the truth of it is I started doing a computer science degree. I've always had an interest in computers. I've always had an interest in the law. I did a computer science degree, and I really enjoyed that, being hands-on coding and programming, and even the practical and physical side of it as well, setting up networks physically. So that was all good and interesting. But I also wanted to do law, so I set about doing a law degree as well. And then I thought at the end of that, I better combine the two and do something. So I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and I saw an advert to become a patent examiner. I thought, if it's good enough for Albert Einstein, it's good enough for me, and it's a great way to get into the industry. And so I started as a patent examiner. I was there for 2 years, working on various different industries, and then I jumped ship and went gamekeeper turned poacher, as you will, and became an actual attorney. So that's how it led me to Patsnap, where I was in my private practice using the tools that Patsnap delivered to really go beyond just drafting and filing, prosecuting applications, to actually giving data-driven insights and decision-making to portfolio management and innovation strategies, etc. So I went to the people that did it the best, which is Patsnap.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. A lot of studying, but sounds like it was all relevant to get you to the destination that you're at. So I wanted to kind of dive into some of the things that we're seeing in terms of AI transforming many industries, but obviously legal being one of them. What are you seeing in terms of how it's reshaping the world of patents?
Yeah, so AI is having a massive transformative impact on virtually every profession and every industry. If you don't know what it can do yet, you haven't scratched the surface. It will be there, and it will be doing something. Generally, it takes out what is routine, what is route, and makes it much more efficient. So there are studies in various different industries about how an AI agent is improving the workflow. You've got the large consultancies now, which they now say, don't speak to a colleague, speak to our AI agent first. You've got R&D engineers who are probably 50% more effective at filing new patents when they are innovating using an AI-based tool. So, yeah, from whichever area you look at IP, whether it's patents, and AI is going to have some transformative impact anywhere along that workflow, whether it's from the R&D engineers innovating and using AI to help them generate ideas, not spark the inventive concept, which is a separate legal matter, all the way through to attorneys that are using AI to help them draft. So taking what would have been a laborious task of writing out patent specifications and then speeding that forward by using generative AI to craft those disclosures.
Yeah, no, it's really having a big impact by the sounds of it. What are you seeing in terms of so having practiced and seeing it from that side, presumably there's common challenges that you were facing pre Patsnap, right? It would be great to just kind of hear some of the challenges that some IP professionals and patent attorneys are facing right now.
Yeah, so a lot of the tasks that the attorneys don't really like is the routine and the stuff that has to be done, the boilerplate, the things that aren't added value. Now, that's where AI really takes all that those laborious tasks away. So managing alerts and monitoring and saying when things are due and creating a document that has to have certain legal words and certain phrases, all that gets created straight away with, snap your fingers. You don't have to do that anymore. So you come along as an attorney now, and really your sole impact and your thought process should all be about that added value. So I understand the legal, I understand the client's position, I understand their examiner's objections. Now I have to work all that together and come to the answer. So when we used to talk about AI, we used to talk about it being really good at depth. And what that meant is it really good and expert in a specific field. And then where humans were better was breadth. They could say, well, we know about this deep part and we know about this deep part and we know how to bridge the gaps. Generative AI is starting to bridge those gaps and being better, but it's not taking all our jobs yet. So, there's still a position there for an attorney that knows how to communicate the point that they want to communicate, the reasons why they want to communicate that point as well, and then really get the best outcome for their client. And that's really, that's where the money is, and that's where you're earning your billable hours.
Absolutely. And so Patsnap has developed like a few tools, it sounds like, in terms of how you're assisting some of these people to be able to work a little smarter and faster. Could you dive into the solutions and tell me how they kind of come together as a platform to help patent attorneys?
Yeah, absolutely. So Patsnap now has the best-in-class patent data tools out there. So depending on which aspect you look at it from, whether you are an inventor, really at the very forefront of innovation and design that goes into patents, or you're an attorney at the far end that needs to know all about the data that's there and then actually take it forward to an exam to get a patent granted, we're shortening that workflow. So for your R&D inventors, we have tools like Eureka, which take all that patent data and which can be quite legalese or patentese is the word we use to describe the obfuscation of information inside patents by attorneys that are trying to craft things that get through to grant for certain reasons. It doesn't make it very easy and understandable for your general innovator. So we take all that, we give AI summaries, we break down the patent into its patent DNA, so you can see what the important bits are and bring that out, use AI, use our co-pilot to really help guide you through that massive patent data to say, what's important, what do I need, what's out there, how can I innovate? And once you've got all that, because it's all part of the Patsnap ecosystem, that transfers through to your IP attorney. So at the end of the day, you can say, what's the innovator been looking at? What's he been doing? What have they done? And then you get the same level of information, that same transparency through to your IP attorney. And they go, okay, we've got all this. Then we'll use analytics platform to see what competitors are out there. What do I need to do for freedom to operate positions? What do you need to do for patentability positions? And then also we now have tools that will be starting to draft your responses, your applications. So all that way through, from innovation through to execution at the end, granting a patent, and then beyond, monitoring the patent landscape, making sure it's commercialized, etc. going forward. All of that data is in there. It's all in the same workflow. It's all transparent. It's all AI enabled. So really everyone is coming in at that part of the workflow and saying, here's my added value in as quick and as efficient and most valuable position as you can, getting it all the way to the end. So it's all there and ready now. We just have to start implementing it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So it sounds like a lot of the particularly like the benefits of AI come from some of the data that you have. Can you talk a little bit about that in terms of like what does the process look like to make sure that the data that the AI is trained on is accurate and cleansed to a level where, it kind of makes sense and produces good content?
Yeah, that is fundamental. So I don't know who coined it, but data is the new oil. They said that. And then also there's the old adage, garbage in, garbage out. So you don't want to be the lawyer that goes in front of a judge and have made up cases because ChatGPT or whatever it was has hallucinated in creating your pleadings, for example. So this is where Patsnap truly is the best. We have the best data, and so we have that moat of data which is being validated, it's being cleansed, it's been connected, it's been improved, it's had value add, and so you're not going to get it elsewhere. And therefore, when we train our LLMs, our large language models, or any AI that might come next, it's going to have this core corpus of data which is the best quality, and therefore you will get the best answers. And beyond that as well, when you're using these AI tools, you need to think about security, transparency in it as well. And when you use Patsnap's data, it's completely secure. We're not training off what you put in. We're not training off what comes out. What comes in is secure, so no one gets to know anything about it. It's very different to if you were to search for a patent on Google for, say, who knows who's looking at that.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Are you able to share any customer stories that might be interesting for our audience in terms of how they've got benefits from using your tools?
I can talk in broad terms because obviously there's some confidentiality in who does what and why. But yeah, from personal experience, I benefited massively as a private practice attorney using Patsnap. Speaking to the lawyers that might be watching this and listening, is they will know what a horror show the national officers were to search for documents, even though a lot of patent data is publicly available. When we say available, it's not really available because it's terrible to get to. So just having a tool that is always there and always available and very easy to access that data just makes your life fundamentally better as an attorney. So that's one way of quality improvement. As I spoke earlier about certain companies now innovating with their R&D and using IP in their workflows, that's going to benefit them no end as well, because you won't waste money filing for inventions that have already been thought of, for example. So yeah, there's lots and lots of success stories out there, and we can point you towards some on the website that you can definitely see.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for that. In terms of, so if I'm considering options to invest in a product like this, what does it take to get started? So like how quickly do you start to see benefit of a product like this? And is it like SaaS based? Like how do you deliver the solution to a law firm?
Yeah, it's SaaS based, and it's not just law firms. It's any company that wants to use any of the tools that we've got. The life science suite we've got is particularly beneficial. The data in there can't be got anywhere else, and we've seen customers come to us and within hours say, yes, we need that, give it to us immediately. How quickly can we sign and get this going? Because the data there and how it influences and changes their working life is so dramatic. So, if you've got something really valuable, which Patsnap is, we're just looking for those people, and anyone that some people need coaching to say, this is how it fits your workflow if you've been established for a while. But a lot of the new startups, they're hungry for data, they're hungry for good data, and they just want to get going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you touched on this a little in terms of some of while AI brings like lots of opportunities and some exciting ways to be able to be smarter and faster about how we execute, there are some common concerns, right? So you mentioned the kind of ChatGPT experience. From a legal perspective, what other kind of risks and ethical challenges do you see AI presenting, and how do you see that kind of shaping the future in terms of how those problems get solved?
Yes, that is quite topical at the moment, because you have the national bodies of different jurisdictions, whether it's the EPA in Europe or the USPTO, putting out guidance for practitioners on how they should be interacting with AI. And the simple answer is it's a tool. And anyone using their tools should know exactly what it does and how it does it. So, bad work person blames their tools, but great tools elevate the craft, as we say. So, it's here. We should be using it, and those early adopters will see the benefits more than anything else. But to those issues that you mentioned, so it's security, transparency. So, is your data secure? Especially when we talk about patents, you can't be disclosing it, because public disclosure of the invention that you want will bar you from being able to have a patent for that invention broadly. Then that was security side of it. So transparency as well. So you need to know what data you've got, how it's been trained, so you can make sure you eliminate hallucinations. We've seen competitor products give fake patent numbers and fake patent titles because it's not trained on the data that ours is trained on. And then bias as well. So if you have different sorts of news sources coming in, then you might get bias in the work as well as what you're doing. So again, this is where it comes back to that garbage in, garbage out. Quality data is worth its weight in gold. So if you're going to use a tool for patents, it better be trained on patent data, and that's what Patsnap is.
Hey John, how do I find out what we've invoiced my client?
How can I view my outstanding WIP?
How do I submit my expenses again?
Do we have next Monday off?
Monday off?
It's exciting to have fresh faces at your law firm, but onboarding them takes a lot of time and a lot of energy when everyone is remote. You're busy enough as it is. Helm 360 has the solution. Just ask Termi, Helm 360's next level chatbot solution for knowledge management. Termi can answer many of your new hires' questions for you without distracting you or anyone else at the firm. This means fewer frantic emails, fewer help desk tickets, more time and more focused productivity for everyone at the firm. Working with Termi, you can have those eager new employees up to speed in a snap. They may never need to ask you a question again. Check out helm360.com/Termi to see Termi in action and find out how it can make onboarding new hires as easy as sending an email.
Are you seeing anything in terms of, so I'm just thinking about some of the scenarios where you've got an improved way of being able to put patterns forward, and doing that in an accelerated fashion. Does that have any impact in terms of the quality of patents being filed? Like, is there a risk of oversaturation of like, lots of low quality applications, or how is that impacting the kind of quality level?
Yeah, so some thought has been given to this, and what we're thinking of is particularly in patent world, an AI arms race in terms of who's got the tools and who uses them first. Are they going to overwhelm the others? So, likely is that private practice attorneys will get their hands on the tools first and want to be the first to use them and get going, and then they'll fire in lots of patent applications to the examiners, and the examiners won't have the tools to deal with the workload, but they'll get tools as well. And it all depends what we talk about in terms of AI. So AI has been around for a long time, natural language processing, semantic analysis, that sort of thing as well. But this is the generative AI is what we're talking about now, that really ramps up the speed and quality of these works. So I think, again, when we talk about that previous question of ethical use of AI as well, you shouldn't just be churning out rubbish and sending it to the patent office and trying to get patents and carpet the whole area and create these thickets. But it should be used intelligently from both sides. And if this does happen, then we'll have to cross those bridges when we get to them. But I'd like to think everyone takes a sensible approach to begin with.
Yeah, let's hope so. You kind of touched on this again a little while ago in terms of the users of your product, right? That actually it's not just law firms, but actually really anyone can use it. Are you able to kind of like help us understand, what other applications are you seeing in terms of different industries? Is there kind of like a common user base that you're selling to? Any commonality there in terms of who's using the product?
So I think, summing this up, so it's not just law firms, you're right, it's any innovator, anyone that does anything with IP, which tends to be just about everyone. So if you think of your large companies, the biggest ones in the world are predominantly IP heavy. There is the old story about Coca-Cola, which is if you burnt down all its assets to the ground and they had nothing left except their trademark and their recipe, they'd be back tomorrow, one of the richest companies in the world again. So IP is definitely important. And this goes from small inventors, one-person bands, 10 people in a shed making new inventions, and they need access to data just as much as the large guys need access to data. And your IP firms that are guiding these companies need access to that data. Everyone needs access to data. We talk about patent data as an alternative data source as well. So we have an API where you can get access to our cleansed, excellent data to help you train your AIs, or to, if you're maybe a quant, so from a banking perspective, look at the patent data and go, here are the trends and here we're going to get growth. So maybe you could have spotted NVIDIA on the rise. You could have seen it coming. You could have spotted Apple when they launched the first iPhone. You would have seen from the patent filings they were thinking about this crazy new idea for a phone. And if you'd seen the patents, you would have been like, invest, invest, invest. because it's about to go to the moon. So those are the sort of trends you can pick up from patent data for, maybe let's call it adjacent field. So anyone and everyone, there's patent data on there. And as I said before, it's not just patent data. There's a lot of drug data in there now, chemical data for pharmaceutical industry. It's massive for life science area. And we blend that together with other business type of data as well. That, there's lots of use cases that I can't see all of them, but the data's there, and if you've got a good idea, we'll help you achieve that.
Fantastic. And as you see things evolve in the future with all of the AI solutions that are in the market, how does that impact the role of a patent attorney, like over the next 5 to 10 years, in your view?
Yeah, I think I mentioned before, it's like you have to adopt, and it's better to get started now than be behind. There's plenty of memes that go around about teaching your older partners how to turn a PDF into a Word document and vice versa. It's going to be a similar state of affairs with AI. You need to learn how to start understanding AI's prompt engineering, really try to just help you get to where you need to go. Also understand, as we talked about before, the transparency, the security, what's underlying the tools you're using. But the tools are there, they will be used, so you need to get on board and start learning them.
Yes, yeah, get on the train and get on it fast. In terms of so one of the things that we're seeing with there's obviously like lots of solutions on the market, and a growing number of solutions on the market for firms to consider and to consider where they're going to invest their kind of dollars in technology. What advice can you kind of offer for firms that are going through that selection process to go and see what's a good fit and where they're going to get return on investment from a product that may be AI enabled? And then really the second part of that is there's a whole change piece, right? Like whole change in terms of a cultural element of what happens when you invest in a technology solution that actually transforms the way that you work, right? And how your organization works. What are you seeing on that front, and how do you kind of advise firms that are kind of adopting technology like this to manage that change process internally?
Yeah, so I think that you have to ask why, and then once you've asked why once, ask it a few more times until you really get to the core of why you're doing this. Why this piece of AI, why this application. So that really needs to be firm in your understanding of what it's going to do, and try and see the transformation it's going to cause. There's no point adopting a tool and saying, oh, we'll just use this and say people to use it, because you could end up buying a tool and it'll just sit there and it won't be used. So you really have to weave it into your workflows. You need to know, why do I need this data? Why I need the AI to help me understand this data, and what's the output going to be at the end of the day? So an easy example is for patent attorneys and a drafting tool. It's because you are going to draft patents. That's a no-brainer. And you are going to get a information disclosure. You're going to have to put the information disclosure into an AI tool, and it's going to craft you a document that's going to take the work that might have taken you 10 to 40 hours down to about 4 or 5 hours just to edit afterwards, because you can't trust it implicitly the whole time. I wouldn't say to do that it's going to be perfect straight away, but it's just going to reduce the amount of extra hours you're putting in and increase your efficiency. So that's one really simple way of doing it. From various other areas, whether it's contract drafting, we all know that when you come to write a new document, very rarely do lawyers or anyone start from scratch. So they'll have written something similar like that before. I'll take it and I'll edit it until it starts working what it's meant to be. So if you train your AI tool on stuff you've done before and then say, I need to do something similar again, it'll be there without you having to copy and paste and tweak. So it's a learning tool. So the more you put into it as well, the more you get out.
Yeah, no, very, very good. And is there so when you're getting people started on your solution, is there an element of kind of hand-holding, getting them trained to be able to kind of think differently in terms of how they operate in terms of their general workflow?
I've always said that if you can use Google, you can use Patsnap. So it should be easy now, especially when we have, as I talked about, co-pilots as well, but that can understand natural language commands. So if you say, summarize this patent for me, and it can do it. There's that barrier to entry of having to create Boolean code for searching, for example, it has gone pretty much. So if you say, I need to know all about patterns in this domain, you don't need to know classification codes, you don't need to know keywords, you just ask it and it comes up. So barrier to entry is a lot lower than it ever was before, but there's a level of skill involved at the end as well, which you can get to, which, I'd say 90% of the work can be done 10% of the time, but that last 10% takes 90% of the time. That's because that's, making sure you've done your due diligence. And that's where, as I've talked about before, we haven't lost our jobs entirely to AI yet. So, we're here to stay and do some of these really clever bits.
Yes, indeed. So what's next for Patsnap? What are you most excited about? What are you working on at the moment for 2025?
Patsnap, we've seen the roadmap yesterday, and there is lots of exciting things coming. More AI enablement, more AI drafting tools, that sort of stuff is coming down the pipeline. More and more, I'm most excited about getting more customers working with us and seeing how they adopt the tool and how they improve things, because the majority of our feedback comes from our customers, and we're reactive to that, and therefore the tool is shaped by what the best and brightest of the innovation world want. So that's what we give them.
Yeah, sounds exciting. Lots of fun stuff coming down the pipe. So look forward to seeing those releases coming out. So thank you, Matt. I just want to move to some wrap-up questions, if I may.
Yeah.
First of which being, if you could borrow a Doctor Who's time machine and go back to yourself at 18 years old, what advice would you give yourself?
So I heard this question for the first time a while ago, and I wasn't really sure what I'd do, but I've thought about it since, and I think I would, if I could go back to myself, I'd say, you don't want to hear from me, because whatever you're doing, you'll make me proud and I will have no regrets. So just keep doing it.
Good advice. And I always ask this question to my guests, and I think this is really forming a really nice bucket list of places that I want to go and visit. But what place have you visited or want to visit that you would think is on your bucket list, or somewhere where you think has been just an amazing place to travel to?
It's my anniversary on the weekend, and I got married in Barbados last year, so I'd say go back there again, and that'll keep my wife happy.
Fantastic. I've not been to Barbados, so I'll have to put that one on my list, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any closing thoughts or advice for the legal professionals in our audience?
I think I've mentioned it a few times, but AI is here to stay. So get in touch with us. Let us help you on your innovation journey and make sure you're using the right AI tools.
Fantastic. Matt, thank you very much. Just before we wrap up, what's the best way for my listeners to contact you if they want to learn more about your products?
Yeah, you can either go to the Patsnap website or find me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Matt, thank you very much.
Thank you. Great to be here.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Legal Helm. Thank you as always for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps us out.